Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order at 6:02, almost 6:03, and roll call.
Chan,
Present.
De La Cruz,
Present.
Tepico Swane, absent. Eberhard, Fujinaka,
Present.
Gallant, absent. Oano,
Here.
Kirby, Perchman,
Here.
Lee, Mitchell, absent. Nakamoto,
Here.
Salasa, absent. Silva, online.
Present.
Steelquist, absent. Witham, absent. And Char. Chair, you have quorum with 11 members present.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Curtis. First up is Honolulu Fire, but it looked like they had to run away to an incident. So, next up, Honolulu Police Department.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sergeant Lee, and I'm gonna give you the stats for January 2026. For motor vehicle theft, there was 7 this month. The previous was 7. Burglary was 1. Previously it was 16. Theft was 32. Last month was 36. Assault was 5. Last month was 6. Sex assault 1. Last month 2. Graffiti was 2. Last month 0. Drugs 0. Last month 1. Motor vehicle collisions 87. The previous month was 98. There's a total of 1,954 calls for service this month. Last month was 2,099. So that's the stats for last month. Also wanted to give you insight of future project that's coming up for our District 1 Command. We're having a pilot program testing out a surveillance mobile trailer. It's going to be placed up in Manoa Lookout on Round Top. And it's going to be 24/7. And it's about the size of a car. It's supposed to deter crime. There is some right now in District 7 that's deterring a lot of crime over there. So that's why our command, Acting Captain Matsumura, is pushing strong for this program. Hopefully, it works. And it came out because the community was upset about the crime at the lookout. So it's something we're trying to implement. We're trying to push it, but we don't have an exact date due to the permits and the signatures you have to get. It takes a while. So with that said, let me see if I missed anything on that. Yeah, so the cameras are live feed, and it has a speaker. It talks. It's pretty modern. It's real technical, and it's mobile, so we can move it anywhere we want. It fits in like one space, one parking space. I'm not sure if you guys saw it before. They have some at Home Depot, some at like Don Quixote. They have it in the middle. Yeah, it just Walgreens. Yeah. So they put something like that in the lookout. Maybe it'll deter some crime. Put some lighting out there and just make people aware. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys have future questions about that, you can contact our command or the next sergeant that comes for the next board meeting. Maybe have more answers. But they're starting it right now, so hopefully it helps your community out. Yeah, I think it will, but at least they're doing something about it. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Sergeant Lee. We'll go ahead and start with Janelle Fujinaka.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sergeant Lee, for your report this month. As for the calls it seems like there's a decrease. However, there's still a lot of traffic within our district as for my area on
Traffic.
Davenport and Pensacola and Pequoy. And I'm wondering if any of those issues or concerns, especially with the continued issue at one of the apartment buildings, is being addressed, because it seems like you guys are always on Davenport Street constantly. And is there any type of mitigation or some sort of solution that you guys are coming up with to deter any further crime in the district in regards to being called to that specific address?
You talking about Davenport Street?
Yeah.
I don't have any answers for that, but I'll pass it on to the command. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Janelle. Harris.
I wanted to ask, I've been having in our Kinao area community hub meetings, and I've been inviting Brandon Shiraishi,
Okay.
and I'm not sure
Good guy.
who would be the appropriate person. I invited Brandon, and I also sent a note to Lyle to kind of let him
Wakabashi,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't heard that, maybe they're busy, but I'm just trying to figure out who the community policing or that group is, so that I can invite them, because we're planning. We've had 3 meetings, and the fire department has attended all of them, but the police department hasn't. And I think they're part of the program. And so I wanted to make sure that I give them, enough information so that they can actively participate. And
Okay.
and I have the flyer here, so if somehow we can get that to them, that'll be helpful.
Okay. I could definitely pass it on, but if in the future you really want to get the department involved, you can always contact our watch commander, which is Lieutenant Nogawa or Lieutenant Leong. Those are the watch commanders. So if whatever they say goes. So if you contact them to that thing, it'll get done. Yeah.
Thank you, Harris. Chuck.
Yes, thank you so much to you and HPD for putting that surveillance trailer up there.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions, and I'm not sure if you have the answer, but where did you say the location was going to be, that it was going to be placed at?
Around top
Up on the
by the Mono lookout.
lookout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the action place.
Yeah. That's where most.
And then
people is.
it has the ability to move, you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how long do you usually leave the surveillance?
24/7, as long as we want.
So you can leave it there for a
Yeah.
year, 2 years, or whatever?
Yeah, depending on how the community wants it. Sometimes it might not look nice in the area, and people might get
Thank you.
I don't know what feedback is gonna be, but I think it would be a good thing.
Okay, Adam. Thank you, Chuck.
You said that was going to be in Manoa,
No, we're on top.
Tantalus.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tantalus.
I was just
Yeah.
making sure I heard that right.
For you guys.
Thank you, Adam. Richard.
Sergeant,
Hey,
does
Rick.
HPD have a compiling accidents with electric scooters, all those electric devices? I see them flying down the bicycle lanes.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be only for bikes, but I understand that that can't be controlled. But does HPD track those kinds of things, accidents between,
Statistics
for
for electric scooters.
electric scooters, electric bikes, hit pedestrians getting hit by them?
Yeah, we have a great team where they can compile whatever you want them to compile. It just takes some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you request it, I'm sure we could get it.
Can we request it? Can I request it to you to have HPD start tracking that? Because I have to be extra careful driving now, and I am extra careful looking as
So
I
you
make a
want
left
you're
turn.
requesting the e-bikes, or what are you requesting? The scooters
Compiled accident statistics
of
involving
involving.
all these new electric devices, whether it's a scooter or electric bike. You see guys on these single wheel things, all these new,
In what
transportation.
area? What area are you looking at?
well, for the whole island.
The whole island?
Yeah,
Wow,
just like there's
okay,
a
that
car.
would, that would take a long time because now you got to look at all the districts, right? You're talking about 8 districts in the whole island to compile. all the
Yes,
facts.
just like you keep track of all the statistics that you give us. I'm not asking you to go back.
No, the
for another
statistics I give you is just for you guys. Just
Oh, okay,
this
yeah,
area.
right,
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
for sector 3, Chinatown,
Right,
and
okay.
it's for here. No, if
But
you
I'm
want the
asking,
stats in this area,
yeah,
I could
right,
get
you
it.
can do
pretty
that,
quickly,
okay.
Yeah.
But so it sounds like HPD does not have a program to track all this island wide.
No, you can.
You can,
Yeah.
yeah,
But what you have to do is collaborate all the districts.
all the
right?
districts, okay.
And then get together and then
Yeah, so we'll start with our district here.
Yeah.
If we can get those kinds of statistics,
Okay.
yeah, all right, yep, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Sergeant.
Okay.
I mean, we
thank-
could get it. It would just probably take a long time.
But it can be compiled starting like next week or something. I'm not
But if
asking
you
for,
try to compile it, we start slow in this
yeah,
sector,
right,
let's
yeah,
see what we could do,
right, okay.
versus you want the whole island. and,
No,
yeah.
no, but I was just wondering if HPD had a program. So it sounds like they don't. So I'm happy with just starting in your
Yeah.
district, starting from,
It would be the same thing like how how I pull up the stats for you?
right, yeah,
The same way they do it.
like that, right.
Motor
okay,
vehicle thefts, the burglaries, the assault. Same idea.
Right, okay, yeah. All right, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I'll take Arthur.
Sergeant, I just want to reiterate what he's saying.
Mhm.
We have one of the most populated bike riding areas in the city. And there are a lot of near accidents and accidents. And I think we need to be abreast of how many they are. For instance, right at Kinau and Piikoi.
Mhm.
I hear the ambulance going down there quite a bit and never hear of any of these
Yeah.
hits.
So I just mentioned in my statistics that there was 87 in this sector too, this area.
That's the bicycle pedestrian.
That's total all motor vehicle collisions, pedestrians, bicycles, everything. A totality of everything.
Be broken in so we know if it's bicycles or.
Arthur, remember to speak into the mic, please. Thank
So
you.
what you want is you want pedestrians, bicyclists, cars, right?
Yes,
Every little breakdown.
I think that's what Richard's asking for.
No, he was only talking about the motor scooters and devices.
Well, it's in bike lane. They're supposed to be in the bike lane. And you make a left-hand
So
turn.
so this is not just bike lanes. Motor vehicle collisions can happen anywhere, not just in the bike lanes. We're talking a totality different motor vehicle collisions.
Richard, were you talking that general or more of the set areas? I think it's more of the set areas. I find it myself. I go to make a left-hand turn into Victoria off of King, and I see a biker coming down with no lights at night, and I could wipe him out if I weren't more observant.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. And we'll go, and we'll go to Eric.
I just want to note that the MVCs were lower this month than last month. Okay? 10% lower. It was 98 last month, 87 this month. So,
I just had a question regarding the monitoring at Tantalus Lookout.
yes.
So is that so that's up there currently now?
no,
Not yet, soon.
We're gonna try and start the pilot program,
Sorry, okay.
but because of the permitting and the
Oh, it takes
signatures that
time.
have to get done,
Okay.
we're
I
pushing
am
for it.
100% behind that. I think it's a great idea. Thank you very much.
They have it
Uh,
in Hawaii too.
Oh,
The
okay.
lookouts over there. and
Okay.
it's working.
So yeah, I know for a visual
Yeah.
deterrence, it's great for that. Is it also being monitored live 20
Yes. Yeah.
and recorded as well?
Yes.
So if an incident happens, you guys can refer
Yeah.
back to it.
It's yes. It's gonna be through a company called Live View Technologies.
Okay.
We're using that company. So it's gonna be live feed, it's happening, and
Yep.
officers can respond and know what's going on prior to us getting there.
Yeah.
Versus not having it and we're just responding to calls and
Yeah.
not having any information of what the suspect is, what he's doing, what he looks like, what he has, what
Yeah.
he's holding.
Okay, yeah, it's a great spot to have it because there's a lot of bad things that have happened
Yeah.
with gun violence up
Right.
there, right? And break-ins. And there
Yeah.
was one recently too, right? Up there. with
Yeah.
The carjacking.
Right.
Okay, so I was just curious if it was being monitored live.
Yeah, live.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, well, thank you, Eric, and we'll take Adam.
Yeah, my only question with this, and I think it's fantastic, but my only question with this is that in my experience working as a resident manager, when a crime is committed and is caught on camera,
Mhm.
even if you have a video footage of the person who did it, oftentimes it's a youngster, a young teenager, underage, and it seems like my video footage didn't really get used for much, if anything. I mean, I've been able to be like, he lives right there,
Okay.
and nothing happened. So what happens with the video footage? Say if you catch a person doing it, and I mean, how is this going to help if we're not following up? Is my question.
So we get the video footage. If we can make the identification of the suspect, we can make the rest.
It's been my experience that we were able to make video like this is the kid. He lives right there, and there was no link. There was nothing done afterwards. The kid was wandering around free the next day.
I'm not familiar what case you're talking about.
It's been multiple cases where, I mean, I've just basically given up on the concept of video evidence because it's not led to any consequences.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with
But
your
the kids
case.
are, if it's a kid, like an underage kid,
Mhm.
you know, it's a slap on the wrist. The kid's out the next day. I mean, and it's just hands are tied, and I'm not blaming the police department. It's just that the rules and laws and restrictions we have doesn't penalize. It just kind of.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes cases for juveniles differ from adults.
No, and I
So
understand that.
I'm not sure
but I
what
mean,
case you're talking about though, but
Well, I
yeah.
don't want to get into like
Okay.
specifics, but I'm saying I'm sure there's other people in here who've had the experience.
But you can follow up with the detective that did your case,
Right.
or you can call back the officer that assisted you. You can call for the sergeant supervisor, or you can talk to the commandant or station.
Yeah.
There's many avenues you can follow up.
I mean, I've seen success that the office, the department has had, but it took me and the police department and those kids' repeated actions to finally make something happen, you know? And so I don't know what we have to do to help facilitate these change. The kids are held accountable, and I'm not saying throwing kids away, but I'm saying some rehabilitative process or something. What do we got to do to make progress in these issues?
So for rehabilitation, that's kind of out of our hands.
Yeah.
We just enforce the law. We just have to abide by our policies and procedures. Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Hopefully we can follow up after the meeting. There's quite a bit happening there. And we have spent quite a bit of time here. So I'm going to look at attendees and if there are any questions from attendees first before moving on. And we have Mike Buck from CORE online. Mike? Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and move on since Mike is having problems. Are there any other questions from it? Yes. If you could come up to the microphone, please. No, if you could, well, yeah, if you could, yes, please. And then give us your name.
Hi, Sonia Gushi. I just have a question about the Eyes on the Road program where they're issuing video cameras. Is that program live? Is it enacted already?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. I'll get back to you.
Okay, because my thought is if Makiki residents had that camera, and the camera is free, it's mounted by, I guess, Best Buy, or you can somehow figure out how to have it mounted, but it's road only data that goes somewhere in the cloud. But it's, for us coming down Pensacola, seeing people run the red light, speeding through, it would be helpful to have the camera with license plates. I mean, we don't have a red light camera or a speeding camera there, but I'm just thinking with the population in Makiki, it would be beneficial for most people to have that camera. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from attendees? Seeing none, if you have any questions for the police, I would ask that you take it outside of the meeting. Okay, moving on. I see fire is not back.
Guys, have a good night.
Thank you so much, Sergeant. Seeing as fire is not here, we'll continue on, and if they show up, we'll circle back to them. Governor Josh Green's representative, Russell Pang.
Hi, everyone. Let me see if I can get my camera starting. It doesn't seem to be working, so I'll just continue without the camera. If that's, oh, there I am. Okay. So good evening, everyone. I wanted to start by following up on a few questions that came up last month, starting with a question that was raised by Board Member Eberhardt, who asked what involvement the State Insurance Commissioner has in condominium insurance and why the commissioner wasn't at a recent condo insurance meeting. The Insurance Commissioner Psyche, I followed up with him and he said that he attends, of course, many meetings, schedule permitting, but may not have been available for that particular meeting or just may not have been invited. So we're not exactly sure which meeting that was. But regardless, he does recall working with Mr. Everhart in the past and definitely welcomes him and any other community members to email him directly at insurance@dcca.hawaii.gov with any specific questions or concerns relating to insurance for the condo market. I will post in the chat room a graphic from the insurance division that shows some of the efforts that the state is undertaking to protect residents and strengthen the insurance stability here in Hawaii. Specifically in July 2025, the Hawaii Hurricane Relief Fund was reactivated to provide insurance coverage for where the private market is unable to do so. And to date, that has resulted in approximately, I'm going to go over these numbers, 1.8 billion in new Hawaii Hurricane Relief Fund coverages, 7.8 million in total savings across reported policies statewide, and approximately $95,000 in average savings per condo policy. So I'll put that in the chat room after my report. There were also questions related to Round Top Drive. I talked about the fact that the DLNR has started to implement paid parking for visitors, that's out-of-state residents, visitors to the Pu'u'alaka'a State Wayside Park. And I believe Board Member Salasa raised the concern that the new parking fee could lead visitors and commercial vehicles to park outside of the park or along Round Top Drive to avoid the fee. And he requested that no parking signs be put up. I did check with DLNR. The area outside of the park falls outside of DLNR's jurisdiction. So we could follow up with the city on that to see if that might be an option. But for the state DLNR, it just falls outside of the jurisdiction. So they're unable to put up those signs. Also related to Round Top Drive, a question came up from one of the community members asking when Round Top Drive would be repaved. As I did mention, it is a city road, and I believe Megan Johnson from the city was going to be checking on that with the Department of Facilities Maintenance. But another board member did raise a question about whether DLNR was responsible for maintaining some of the trees and foliage along Round Top Drive. I did check with them and they do tree maintenance and foliage maintenance for the vegetation within the state park system and within the forest reserve system. Anything outside of that, again, would fall to the city. So let's see. Finally, DLNR did want to ask the public for some help. They have put together an online survey to gauge public awareness and public understanding related to the 2021 Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility spill. The survey is at redhillsurvey.com, and I'll throw that into the chat room. It's about a 10-minute survey, and essentially what they are trying to do is get information from the public and the community about just overall awareness and related to the spill, as well as the initiatives going forward. And this will help with the DLNR's outreach as they move forward with their programs. So I'll put that in the chat room. And the deadline to complete that survey is February 28th. So you have till the end of the month. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Russell. I see there's already questions. I'll start with Janelle.
Hi, Mr. Pang. Thank you so much. And this is in regards to recent questions that I've gotten from my community in regards to the current controversy with the 35,000. Understandably, the governor is supposed to stay out of this issue. However, there is constant constituents asking the question of what are we doing? And I guess my question to you as well as the governor is he going to actually make a public statement for an independent investigation out of the AG's office to really give more trust to the people rather than leaving the AG with that decision? If you can go back and ask the governor, please.
Yeah, definitely we'll have to go back and ask. There has not been a public statement on that as of yet for that particular aspect that you're asking about. So.
Thank you, Janelle. Chuck.
Hello, Russell. This is in regards to, I don't know exactly what you call it, voter integrity. A number of constituents, and I know myself, have been watching some of the meetings that the Election Commission has been having, and there seems to be a couple of real hot topics, but one of them in particular is the discrepancy in voting in the vote counts for, I think one was the Big Island. It was 10 or 19,000 votes that were in question. And I just was wondering if the governor had any insight or any comment that he wanted to make about that, because I have not heard anything from his office about it yet.
Okay, Chuck, gonna have to check on that. I'm not familiar with that, so I'll bring that up with his office.
Okay, thank you very much, Chuck. Kahanu.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chuck. Randy. I was reviewing January's minutes on a topic we've been discussing for a few months. Maybe I've missed it, but is there any update on the paving of Ward to Beretania or Ward to Kinao?
Okay, yeah, figured you would ask that. Actually, no, not yet. That is still on track to happen. It just has not been scheduled yet. So appreciate the patience for the community. And as soon as we do get word on when it's been scheduled, I will definitely let this board know.
Is there anything that I can do independently to try and find these answers? Because this has been the answer for the last 5 months.
Understand, but again, like I said, it is on track. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of scheduling and lining up the contractor and on that. So,
all right, last shot. Is there? Could you point me in the direction of who I could contact to find out? Like, is this DOT or is this within your jurisdiction?
Yeah, it is Department of Transportation, and I work for the Department of Transportation. And I did check this morning because I knew I was coming to this meeting. And again, it's on the docket. It just hasn't been scheduled yet.
Thank you very much, Randy.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kahanu. Eric.
Hi, Russell. Eric Salasa. Just wanted to pass along big kudos and a big mahalo to the DLNR and the DOT. I contacted them a few weeks ago in regards to a homeless encampment along Round Top Drive and up against between Round Top Drive and Makiki Stream. It moved in overnight and a lot. I think there was a sweep down below, so a big group moved in, brought in a lot of tents, permanent tents, big structures, lots of trash, and had to contact DLNR because that's DLNR Kuleana, but they also got involved with DOT. So there was two officers, a DOT officer and DLNR officer. They gave notice to them that they had to vacate within 2 weeks. That homeless encampment vacated within 2 days. So great, thank you very much. But they left behind a lot of trash. But the officer I spoke with the DLNR officer and the DOT officer, and they said they would be checking back. They came back a week later. They did not, the trash was there, but they showed up in the evening, very late at night, with the junk removal team, and they cleared out all the trash. I was very impressed. So thank you very, very much. The DOT did a great job. DLNR did a great job on staying on top of this. And the area was all cleaned up. No more trash going into Makiki Stream. So thank you very much for that. And I just want to say thank you.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Are there seeing no questions from board members, are there any questions from attendees? Seeing none, thank you very much, Russell.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. And next up, we have State Representative Andrew Garrett.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, community. Representative Garrett for District 22. Thank you for allowing me to be on your agenda today. Earlier today, we dropped off our most recent newsletter with the Neighborhood Commission office. Hopefully you have it in front of you. I see the chair holding in his hand, so thank you. I just put in a link for the folks who are joining us remotely. But I know you guys have a full agenda, so just wanted to, again, highlight that newsletter. We have some priority bills that are listed in there, along with some activities we've been doing on behalf of the community. Just in terms of the legislature here, we're hitting a major deadline, so I'm still here at the office. It's first lateral for you folks who are interested. Basically, it means all the bills have to be in their last assigned committee. So at this point, I'm guessing a good fourth to a third of the bills that were introduced are going to be dead as of tomorrow. So as you folks know, this legislature is really a process of attrition. We start off with about 3,000 bills. I'm guessing we lost about 1,000, if not more, with this deadline. So we're working our way through. But I know there's a lot going on here in terms of ethics reform. The thing that's really looming over all of us here is the uncertain fiscal situation. We're still dealing with some aftermath of all the decisions being made out of Washington, D.C. that's going to impact social services here. So we're trying to prepare as best we can for that. But yeah, I guess I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions about things you might have been hearing about, if what's what we're discussing, and see if I can help there. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Rep. Garrett. Are there any questions for the representative? Seeing none from the board, are there any from attendees? Nope. All right,
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right, I got off easy this month. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Have a good night. Okay, next up, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Micah. All right, seeing none, moving on to city reports. First up, we've got Board of Water Supply. Good to see you, Michelle.
Good evening. Okay. Aloha, my name is Michelle Harmon. I'm your Board of Water Supply rep, and I have no main breaks to report this month. And for our general announcement, I'd like to talk about our calendar. So we have on the info table back here, we have some of the 2026 calendars still available. If anybody would like to pick them up, they're available also at 630 Baratania Street. And we'd also like to let everybody know that our contest for the 2027 calendar is going to be closing at the end of February, so February 27th. Entry forms are in the back of the calendar, and they're also online, boardofwatersupply.com. And we have some great prizes. So up to 6th grade is poem posters, and we have first place through third place. First place is $200 made out to the student. For poetry, we have 6th grade through 12th grade, and we have first place $200 through 4th place $50. So that's available. And again, it closes on February 27th at 4:30 p.m. So that's all I have for you tonight, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Rochelle. Are there any questions from board members? Richard.
Hi, could you give us a report what the Board of Water Supply's long-term projection is for our water supply here on Oahu, say going in 10 to 20 years out? I know there's a desal project
Mhm.
in the Kapolei area or the Leeward Coast area.
Yes, we can bring that presentation back online. I think we were planning on doing it last year, but I think that the agendas got so full and then it clashed with scheduling. So I think that I'll let Barry Usagawa from our Water Resources Division know, and he can come in and give that to you if you'd like.
Yes, that would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. I see Tom Heinrich and no board members with any questions. So Tom.
Thank you, Chair. Michelle, at the most recent Manoa Neighborhood Board meeting, BWS Representative Dominic Diaz especially addressed kind of an ongoing question I always bring up about updates to the 6-year or longer capital improvement program of BWS. And so my general question is, if sometime in the near future, you might be able to provide some indication of what are the bigger projects that might be coming in this neighborhood board district sometime soon. Dominic did indicate that the overall program is getting near the end of a major update to that 6-year plan. And in that regard, sometime soon, he in fact would have a more definitive response to that. One of the things of interest that cuts through this neighborhood board district, as well as Manoa and a couple others, is if I recall the numbers correctly, a 42-inch and then steps down to a 24-inch transmission line from Liliha down King Street, finally up University Avenue area to Dole Street and the Wa'ahila reservoirs. So something that basically would cut across town. That's something that has been postponed since really before COVID, but Dominic indicated was coming back into that 6-year project or CIP program. So just something that as that gets finished off, if you could keep us informed. Thanks. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, and then Eric.
I just had a quick question about the funds that environmental services, so for the sewer department, in our bill, we have 2 different billing, right? One for sewer and one for water. So the funds that when you pay that bill, those funds get allocated to each department separately, correct? My question is, I've noticed that I believe it's once a quarter, funds from the environmental services department gets transferred in the millions to Board of Water Supplies directly. As I'm curious as to why that occurs, especially since we are seeing increases in our sewer rate charges, and that's due to funding needed for improvements, which is I'm all for. But if they're already have funds, and then those funds are getting transferred out of environmental services to Board of Water Supply every quarter in the millions, I'm curious as to why that occurs.
Okay, I'll prepare a response for you for next month, if that's okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Eric. Seeing no more questions, thank you very much, Michelle.
Hello, guys. Good night.
Okay, and moving on to Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Megan Johnson.
Hello, good evening. Megan Johnson on behalf of Mayor Blangiardi. In the interest of time, a written report with responses to questions that were posed at the January meeting was submitted to Chair Char. And so if anyone has any questions, please let me know. And I also dropped a link to the mayor's February newsletter in the chat. And I just wanted to highlight again, I announced this the last time, but I just wanted to announce again that the city has launched a new and improved HNL 311 system, which our residents can use to report issues in their communities that need to be fixed or addressed by the city. So residents can submit requests for service via the HNL mobile app, which is available on Apple or Android devices, or by visiting the website hnl311.com. And once an issue has been reported, it goes directly to the department that's responsible for that type of request. And if users are registered for an account, they will get notified whenever there's a status update to their request. So if you'd like more information, there's more information in the newsletter that I just dropped the link to, or also online. Again, HNL, the letters HNL, and then the number 311.com. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much, Megan. First question from Adam.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I actually had the 311 app, and I think it's fantastic, and I appreciate you putting this together. But I had an old one, and I didn't know you had completely changed for another app, and so I had to find out by accident that there was an entirely different app that I had to download and then delete the old one. So I was wondering if there was any way that you could notify people who are using the old app so that they could download the new one.
Thank you for the feedback. I believe that there, was, I apologize for that experience for you. And I know that the city was trying to, ahead of the launch, was trying to raise some public awareness about the fact that there was a transition. But I'm sure that there are other individuals such as yourself that, experienced that. So that this is why I'm continuing to try to just promote the existence of the new app. And again, I apologize for
No, it's no problem. It's just that I was using the old one and it wasn't working. And so I don't like calling the police department about signs or anything like that. I having the app, but I don't want to waste their time. So
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Arthur. Oh.
Sorry, Arthur.
Yeah, Art Eberhard. Where do we stand on building permits, both commercial and residential permits?
I'm sorry, could you be more specific about
Processing time? How much time is it taking now? And has the backlog been depleted?
Okay, I'm gonna have to pose your question to the Department of Planning and Permitting. I can get you some information. That's a pretty general request. Do you have some specific questions about particular, I guess, areas or properties?
Specifically, how it impacts our district?
Okay, I will try to get that information from you, for you.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Janelle.
Sorry, just to add on to Arthur's request. Thank you, by the way, for presenting today. Regarding the permitting process, because the permitting for the building that's off of Pensacola is still pending, and they haven't been able to move any residents, especially low-income housing, in that area. And we have one coming up pretty soon, yet they're still in construction process. And then I believe there's one construction unit that is up on Alexander Street by Punchbowl area that is being possibly looked at as another affordable housing unit. So I guess to add on to Arthur's request as for the permitting process and why is it taking the city so long to issue these permits, especially if the housing need is needed right now. So that's some of the questions I think I wanted to pose as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. The first building that you were referring to, is it the Pence Metro building?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so there was I was able to get some specific information about that building, and it's in the written report that Chair Charles has. There's numerous issues that they had encountered, but it's still progressing. But if you want more detailed information, it's item number 2 on the written report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Janelle. Are there any further questions? None from the boards? Are there any from attendees? Seeing none, thank you very much, Megan.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care.
I had a
Next up, we
question. I
have
had a
Councilmember
question.
Scott Ishimoto.
Excuse me, I had a
I'm
question.
sorry. Laura, I didn't see you there.
Yes, hi, Laura
Yes,
Ruby.
you have a question.
I would like you to ask the DTS to present or to give some public information regarding where the rail is actually going, because it's going to go through all of our communities, headed supposedly up to UH. And it's going to affect a whole lot of neighbors and eminent domain. And it's the container ship looking contraption to get people on and off is going to impact in the neighborhoods. And it's going to be frightful. Now I guess they're hiring or they've already hired planners. We as all of our community would really like to have an input before they ever start where they're going to plan and what they're going to do. And the second part is the complete streets, also through DTS, has come up with in our neighborhoods in the Date Street area and the Young Street or Citron, I guess, McCully area, ways they have of supposedly fixing sidewalks and traffic control, but there's speed areas that you're not addressing. They're not convincingly slowing the speeders down. And what they do is instead they put little islands in the middle of Date Street for pedestrians to wait on until they can cross. And this is extremely a dangerous kind of situation. And they're in a sense not listening to us. And so if you could have them present or actually talk to the community first, and I include Makiki especially also, as well as McCully and Mo'ili and on otherwise. So if you could please do that, I'd appreciate it for all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Laura. And yeah, now we'll be moving on to Councilmember Scott Nishimoto's office. Thank you so much, Megan.
Aloha, Chair Char. This is Taylor from Council Member Nishimoto's office. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, Taylor.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to let you folks know, well, thank you for those that we met today at the Community Hub event. It was, we're excited to see that come together for our district. Otherwise, we wanted to thank one of our board members, Chuck. So yeah, thank you, Chuck, for submitting testimony on behalf of Bill 18. That's something that we really appreciate your support on because we did initially introduce the bill on behalf of this neighborhood board. Granted, it has been combined in different ways, but we do want to thank Chuck for submitting testimony. And then secondarily, we have some community events coming up. On March 8th, we have a Ala Moana Park cleanup that we fully invite anyone from our neighborhood boards to attend. It's going to be from 9 to 11 a.m. at Ala Moana Park. And then we also have a free community tax prep clinic that we're hosting with Representative Della Bellotti. And we thank her for organizing this event with Vida Tax Help. So we're going to be hosting at the Hawaii State Library starting at 9:30 a.m. So you're going to have to make an appointment in order to schedule for this tax clinic, but you're more than welcome to call our office or Della's office so that we can direct you in order to make an appointment for this. But otherwise, I'm happy to take any questions back to my boss.
All right, thank you very much, Taylor. Chuck.
Yes, Taylor, thank you for those kind words. But I also wanted to reverse it and tell you and Councilman Nishimoto for all the support that you've given us on the board and in our community, in hearing very compassionately and empathetically all the concerns that we have. So on behalf of our whole neighborhood, we really appreciate that. So please share that with Councilman Nishimoto.
Yes, and as it goes through the council, continuing to submit testimony, I think is very helpful for our cause.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Are there any further questions from attendees? Okay, seeing none, I'll move ahead to, thank you so much, Taylor. We'll go
you.
ahead to Councilmember Tyler DeSantos Tam's office.
Hello?
Hello, Robin.
Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to, in just a moment, drop our February newsletter in the chat box. And I know a council member will be there shortly to present on Bill 7, Bill 53, and Bill 72. And I'm here for any questions, as will he. And yeah, thank you. It's kind of a short report this month. But he
No,
will be
thank you
there,
very
so it'll be a
much.
long conversation. Thank you. Bye.
No problem. We sure will appreciate Tyler being here soon. Are there any questions for Robin? Seeing none, are there any from attendees? Oh, Janelle.
Hey, Robin, I know we talked offline about some of the issues. I think one of the biggest one is I know Teamsters finally finalized their contract negotiations with OTS. However, I believe the city and county and the city council did issue out during the COVID period to essential workers a stipend for those that have worked. However, I was told that OTS is not going to be providing those operators, whether they were past or present, with any additional funding. However, that's taxpayers' dollars, and I was wondering if you guys can inquire as to why that funding that came out of the city council is not being distributed to those members from Oahu Transit Service for transportation workers during COVID.
Yes, I can ask about that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Seeing no further questions, thank you very much, Robin. And we'll go ahead to Neighborhood Commission report from Patrick Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. Thank you, Board. I appreciate the opportunity to come address you this evening. And hello to my fellow Commissioner, Harris. Nice to see you. Larry Veray, who's our Vice Chair, and myself are both going to all the boards, well, separately, just to let them, to have some contact with all the boards and to let them know a little bit about what we do. We set policy for the boards, and we also have a real duty of overseeing the plan. One of those, there are a couple aspects that I'd like to talk about, and that is, first off, we're reviewing all the geographical boundaries of the board. I know a message was sent to the chair at some point, and I know there was a member, a former member of this board that was very passionate about changing a spot. And I actually was chair of the new Uanu board at that time. So if that's something that this board is interested in, we just ask that, you discuss it by the end of April, just to give us a heads up, because we're trying to look at this holistically across the island. And obviously, if you just switch with another board, that's fine. But if it has cascading effects, then we'd like to know. The other thing is we are looking at the plan itself. We have revised our complaints procedures. Hopefully no one here is going to be involved in that, but we have done a lot of work, and it is all online. If anyone wants to take a look, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Also, the chair of our neighborhood plan committee is Larry Veray. He's also, his address is online, as you know. The last thing is we are actually taking a very step-by-step review of the plan itself, and we're going through that. So I get a lot of comments about, I wish we could do this and that. let us know. If you have issues with particular regulations, we'll be happy to take a look. That's all I have. I don't know if there are any questions, but.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Yeah, I hope to examine the geographical thing come April.
Okay.
Are there any questions for Patrick from the board?
Assume that's a no.
Seeing none, are there any questions from the attendees?
Thank you very much. Have a
Yep.
great evening.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Take care. Okay, moving on to community concerns from residents. Yes. Yep.
Good evening. My name's Michelle Alves. I live on Pi'ikoi Street. I've been there since 2009. Pensacola Street, in front of the Makiki Cemetery, used to be no parking from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. The signs were removed at some point directly after the 90-unit Bill 7 building started to go up. The workers are parking there. So I don't know if the signs were removed so the workers could park there because all of the plumbers, all of the painters, everybody's there. So my question is, was that what it was for? And will the no parking go back to what it was, no parking? Because now it limits traffic flow, obviously, in the morning at those times. That's what the signs were there for initially. And my second item, I'm allowed a second one. The strip of Pi'ikoi past the firehouse at Wilder that leads up to the Pensacola intersection, which is where I live. Cars are constantly, at least 2 per day, going down the wrong way from the intersection of Pensacola and Pi'ikoi towards the firehouse. I think there might be one way sign that's up. How do I get more? And is it possible to get signs that say you're going the wrong way, do not enter? There is none of those. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, could we have your name?
Michelle.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you,
Alves.
Michelle. Yeah. So Curtis is taking down your concerns and we'll pass them on to the mayor and hopefully we can get something done about that. Adam.
I've noticed a pretty quick response when using the 311 app. If you put up something like that on their app, they usually respond pretty quickly. Just so you know.
Thank you, Adam. Okay. Are there any further community concerns? Oh, Janelle.
Sorry, just real quick. I wanted to make the board apprised that I am a candidate for District 26, and I know that there is no posing conflict of interest. However, I do want to make it known that I am not here to violate any sunshine rules or anything. So if there are issues, I will go ahead and step down from that point from any votes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janelle. And that will be noted in the minutes. Okay. Yes, please.
Aloha, I'm Mary Lee Patterson. I live on Makiki Heights Drive, and Archie Baker Park is my next door neighbor. And I'm going to thank you about the information about 311 because I was very frustrated. I've been reporting on it. It's old. So now we all know, cancel and download a new one. So in the park, we have dogs off leash. I'd like to ask you to please have somehow enforce on leash. We have a new park that opened up for off leash on Punchbowl Street. We have a dog owner that put her own plaque on our city property, glued it on the stone wall. It's, in memory of Maya, her dog. We all love animals and they have pet cemeteries all over the island. So, it's an infringement on our taxpayer dollars that our city government has to go and take it apart. So I've asked 311, I don't have any response, to remove the sign and to ask someone to enforce, our park is closed from 10 p.m. to I think 6:30. No, it says 5 a.m. I'm sorry. So the homeless, they should be asked to leave after 10 p.m. The police department is super busy and they don't really do it. The other thing that we do have a sign that actually says, leash only for dogs. So
That's my one issue. My second one is, can someone help us get the graffiti that goes up Makiki Heights Drive? I mean, I have volunteers that will paint it, but how do you do that? Like, I think that's someone's property. Is that correct? Does anybody know? So we have to ask those people, which I have tried, and it's like a roadblock. Any other ideas?
I believe the city can get involved in talking with that homeowner. So voicing that concern again on 301 and giving the specific address of that property may help.
So I
Suggestion.
can't verify, but I've heard the owner is the guy that's on the top.
Yeah, I know which house you're
for the
talking about.
just, you know, that destroyed house. And
Yep.
he's like, anyway, those are my two concerns, but mainly, can we get the dog people to keep their dogs on leash? My grandson was on the park, and I had to grab him because they're, you know, the dogs are just, and that's a beautiful park. I've lived there for 25 years, and we used to have Little League come and play, you know, T-ball. They don't come anymore.
So we're talking Makiki District Park.
Yeah, Archie,
Oh,
no,
oh.
Archie Baker.
Oh, Archie Baker Park.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right, right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll take that back and hopefully get an answer for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any further community concerns?
Yeah, I have one. Are you
Yes,
with-
Laura, go ahead.
Yes, this is in regard to what is called the Alawai Watershed Collaboration. And if Tom Heinrich can also come on with me in just a minute and further explain things. Right now, they're going to have a meeting on Wednesday, March 11th, from 1:30 to 3:30 at the one of the Kamehameha Schools buildings on Beretania. And part of their assessment of things is that they have a CIV proposal that will actually in some way tax all of us in some various ways, whether it's sewer or property tax or something like that, for the Alawai watershed control. I don't think this is the way to go. This is completely right now, the people who are on the advisory committee or whatever, all top down. You can hardly recognize anybody from the community. So I'd like to really encourage that some of you people from the board, people that, if I'm in the right place, the Central Union Church, the Lutheran Church, Punahou School, you name it, any of the organizations that are around or concerned citizens, come to that meeting and please make it known that the Alawai watershed includes all of us, and we do need to control the surface water, and we need to do it for our communities, not particularly for Waikiki. That's basically the underlying thing that's hidden away. Tom, can you say something too, please? Where's Tom? Is
He
still
says
there?
later.
He's gone?
Yeah. Well, continue. Yeah, he doesn't want to say anything.
Oh,
as far-
okay. Well, okay.
So go ahead, Laura.
He's really knowledgeable because what he started out with Karen Amai years ago was an Alawai watershed type of project, and he's been long associated with it. And we know how the various ways in which surface water can be contained, controlled, so they won't have.
I'm sorry,
extreme
Laura, if you don't mind summarizing your remarks.
Okay, no, I would just like you all to come to that meeting. Please, lots of people. We need them from all of our neighborhood boards, and we need to make it known that we want from bottom up assessment rather than something that's top down handed to us. That's the main thing. Okay.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, next we have Charlie online.
Yes, hello, aloha.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Charlie Calvé, representing Tradewind Cycling Team, and I'm here to present information on the annual Tantalus time trial coming up this April 5th. It's the longest running bicycle race in the state of Hawaii, going now over 50 years. And we are planning, like I said, on April 5th. It'll be from 7 a.m. to approximately 9 a.m. Finish. And the race starts at Makiki Heights Drive, just before Hawaii Nature Center. The route goes up Makiki Heights Drive to Tantalus Drive and all the way up to the top. So we'll have riders going up. And we do have traffic control there, right there at the start. It'll be contraflowed from approximately 6:45 a.m. to 8:45. And we have police officers assisting with that, as well as GP Roadways handling the contraflow. We expect about 70 to 80 riders. And we always instruct the participants to keep noise levels down to a minimum as they're warming up and during the start there. We put up a sign a week ahead of time at Archie Baker Park to notify residents of the upcoming race. And this is also permitted through USA Cycling as well as the City and County Department of Transportation. So that's about it. Like I said, it's been a successful event every year. Like I said, over 50 years now. So hopefully we'll have another good one. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Charlie. This is the community concerns portion, so not necessarily any questions, but I'm willing to entertain any. Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much, Charlie.
All right, thank you.
Okay, are there any further community concerns? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to board business and presentation. So approval of written summary for video record. Are there any corrections? Arthur, if you could speak into the mic, please.
Page 2, number 6, question 2 should be Scott Psyche, not Gardenito.
Okay. All right. Are there any further corrections, Janelle?
Sorry, page 3, letter D. I understand. This looks funny. However, my title at Representative Kim Coco's office is not legislative assistant. I am a committee clerk.
All right. Thank you, Janelle. Are there any further corrections? Okay, seeing none, we have our corrected minutes. Okay, moving on to the discussion of fake ice flyers posted near Punchbowl. There were fake ice flyers posted near Punchbowl, and I greatly appreciate it when we don't spread those fake flyers on social media because we're spreading dangerous and false information. And that's pretty much it. False information can lead to chaos and panic, and we don't need that here in Makiki. Is there any further discussion? Yep. Excuse me, Richard.
Okay, I'm not aware of this. What exactly did this fake flyer say?
I
Or,
won't
you don't
share what it said specifically, precisely because that's the whole point of it being posted, right? So that it's spread and shared and spread chaos and panic. But basically, you know, falsely saying and falsely posted by someone posing as ICE that there might be ICE coming to our neighborhood. So yeah, thank you, Richard. Amanda.
So I live really close over to where it was, and I also work in social services. So I saw it online when it was posted with multiple people, you know, commenting on it. And basically, once you kind of take a view of it with the spelling and grammatical errors that were there, you can kind of tell that it was super fake. But for me, I was in the middle of my workday. I appreciate being able to see online how fast it got caught really quick, that, hey, this is going on. it's the middle of the day. A lot of high school kids were about to walk out and stuff. So for me, I really appreciated it. Also because the state is taking a very formal, information-based focus on ICE. You know, it's happening. It's federal, and I think getting, you know, the information right is extremely important. But I do appreciate seeing that it was picked up so quickly and basically proved to be fake. Because if I saw those walking and I was tired, or God forbid I was younger or didn't know a lot of news going on, it would have freaked me out. So I really appreciate being able to see it on the news and being able to see it on Nextdoor and stuff, because it was very quickly, by just seeing a couple of comments and seeing actually comments from other government people to say, hey, already confirmed, this is fake. It was a sigh of relief that, you know, it spiked 30 seconds later, calmed me down, and I was able to kind of tell some of my clients that live in the area, hey, everything's okay. So I'm just glad that it was fake. It's really unfortunate that's happening. I think no matter what's going on with ICE, I think misinformation is extremely scary. So I like seeing misinformation being kind of called out pretty quick.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll move into the fun part of this meeting, which is the discussion of Honolulu City Council Bill 7, amending Bill 53, Bill 72, and other legislation related to affordable housing. And I'll go ahead and start this part with, I didn't get to have Claire present last time, so in her stead, I believe we have Tom Heinrich, and then we'll get to Tyler. Tom.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Aloha, Tyler. Glad to have you here, and especially for additional time on the general discussion compared to what was able to be done at the last meeting towards the end there for about 25 minutes, I think was. But I appreciate that setup. First, let me change personalities. No, I won't go that far. I was asked by Claire Santos, who unfortunately required some surgery earlier this week, and so is indisposed. If I could try to summarize some written remarks that she made, so I'll try to do this briefly. But I note especially that some of these remarks particularly focus on what you have heard a lot about, which is 1427 Ernest Street, and as well 1617 Alapai Street. So those two projects. But some of the comments do address the broader issues of some of the concerns with the size of the units, that kind of stuff. So if I may just go through this rather briefly, and please understand I did considerably shorten down some of her remarks for some relevancy here this evening. Okay, let me just go through this here. Her discussion regards both of those Bill 7 affordable housing projects, especially as both of them are led by developer Paul Lamb and Gina Thielen. She has followed both of these projects, the advance on them for about the last 4 years, with a lot of details as to what their business organization is, these types of things, whatever. General comment about the Ernest Street development was how she observed it being constructed and sat empty for months, kind of the same thing we're watching with Pence Metro. And ultimately, with it sitting vacant, there was a change in the overall program for that housing to finally provide for Section 8 housing, and the limitation being, unfortunately, no other assistive services for the residents at that particular location. She goes on to say a number of things about problems with that development. You've heard that here in prior meetings, and particularly with discussion with HPD, et cetera. So I'll move on. 1617 Alapai Street has its own story. This parcel is on a quiet, narrow, dead-end street just to the other side of Ward Avenue, and is part of the Punchbowl Special District, that was specifically protected from the construction of any more residential towers in that area. I'm sure Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is well aware, especially of the long history that former Councilmember Gary Gill, especially, was renowned for those Mackay view planes and those types of things that contributed to the Punchbowl Special District. Okay, for that area, she gets into a bit of the history of Pu'uwaina itself, and then discusses a bit as to the development of Bill 7 and some of the compromises that in fact raised the allowable building height through the use of Bill 7.
Sorry, Tom. Might I have you summarize your remarks?
Let me try to do that, but
Thank you.
in the interest of past relationship that has been shared with you, let me just wrap this up, summarize it. Okay, one of the concerns that has been shared with a number of other neighbors in that area is the eviction of the former residents of that 1617 Alapai parcel was done contrary to state law in that they were not permitted 120 days. That has been documented, and so that's a concern to be shared. Okay, a number of other considerations stated about the size of the units, the overall lack of green space, and anything near approachable, sufficient parking, even with the limitations of that area for that site. Okay, to wrap up as a summary then, without going into the other detail, a lot of which you've heard in previous meetings, she addresses some of the effects of the Bill 7 projects at both Alapai and Ernest Street. One of the others I didn't say at the moment that has been addressed is as well concerns over the lack of easy access to social services. There is also the ongoing concern that you have also heard brought to this meeting as to, in essence, the disrespect of the construction activities at the Alapai site because of the encroachment onto the adjacent properties without any coordination or permissions. So that's something, unfortunately, that may rise up to the council as well because of the complaints being made to the mayor's office and DPP. A different concern is that of, under the present limitations of Bill 7, the difficulties of any general community input on the specific developments. And I think in a few moments, that especially is the larger context of what's on the agenda this evening. Okay, and then last two concerns here is simply, or statements, is hoping that the city's Department of Housing and Land Management can especially help with some of the corrections to current policies and the enforcement of existing laws, especially the concern about no more blanket exemptions that preclude public input and the benefits of the community's knowledge of local conditions. And then finally, the concern that for many of these projects still at this particular time, that after 15 years, the units may be converted and sold as at market prices and are no longer limited by the affordable housing income type of circumstances. So a lot of side issues there. So that's a summary there on behalf of Claire Santos. Appreciate it, Chair, and would like to turn the attention again to the specifics of the current bills.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom. All right, Tyler.
Yeah, my PowerPoint.
Oops. Great. Okay. And how much time do I have?
I'll give you, 10 minutes.
Okay.
I suppose we'll.
Yeah, I'm going to spend the first few minutes sort of situating why we're here. Why does Bill 7 exist in the first place? And why are we even having this discussion? The real reason cutting to the chase, is our underlying apartment zoning. Makiki, most of it is A1, A2 apartment zoning. There's some mixed use as well, is very restrictive and very difficult to do. This is why no one is building apartments other than through the Bill 7 program. And we'll walk through probably the next 2 or 3 slides to kind of illustrate why, if we can get there. So we are in a housing crisis. I think there's no doubt about that. And if anyone does doubt this, we're living kind of in 2 different worlds, and we're going to have a really hard time having the rest of this discussion. But much of why that is because it's been very difficult to build apartments under our current zoning. And that's something that we need to fix separately from Bill 7. Absolutely. A discussion came up at the last meeting about affordability. In fact, the last point that was made was about whether these units are set aside for a certain amount of time for a certain price. And there was also discussion about, well, how can we make things cheaper? How do we bring down the average rent? There's a few ways. If we go to the next slide, by the way, I had my staff go on apartments.com. Oh, I think there's one missing slide right before this. We went on apartments.com. The average 1-bedroom apartment in urban Honolulu today, if you go on apartments.com or Craigslist or open up the newspaper, is $2,367. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. And the only way we're going to bring that average down is to have more units that are below the average, right? I think we all sat through 10th grade math and probably hated sitting there. But the only way to bring down the average is to have more below the average. And so how do we get there? Part of the problem, and I'm going to illustrate using properties not in Makiki, but in the next area over, so on the other side of Punchbowl. These are 2 properties on the slope of Punchbowl. One is an apartment zoned area and one is residentially zoned, single family zoned. So 250 Iolani, next slide, it's apartment zoned. You have a 30-foot height limit. This was built in 1958, by the way. So this is older than my mom. It's on a 18,000 square foot lot. This is a huge lot. But under our current formula, the FAR, which is in bold, the floor area ratio, is only 0.68 under the current formula. Now, if we go to the next slide, the allowable FAR on the residential property, literally next door, is 0.7. You can build more housing on this small lot than you can on the large apartment zoned lot next door. And this is why we have monster homes, by the way, because people figured out that you could build more. You could build a 20-bedroom monster home on a residential lot in Palolo or even here. And you can't build 20 units in an apartment zone. It's because of this. Here's another example. So on Lusitana Street, this is the summary of it. We can skip that. On Lusitana Street, we probably drive past this if you go into Paoa. 1910 is apartment zone, 1912 is residential. Same thing. They're 2 comparably same properties. Next slide. In the apartment zoned one, which is on the right, your allowable FAR is 0.52 under the current formula. Whereas in the residentially zoned property next door on the left side, it's 0.7. You can build more on the residential property than you can in the apartment zone. That's backwards. Now we can have a discussion about what the right level should be for apartment zones, but it certainly should be more than the single family district. And that's at the crux of where we find ourselves today. These changes were made in the 1970s. And here we are in 2026. And we have this housing crisis that we need to deal with. And so going through all of these bills, I think require understanding that context that we're in. So actually we can skip the next couple slides because they're sort of technical and I don't want to take up too much time, but there's this issue of minimum lot size as well, and a couple other things. But I want to stop here and on the next slide. This also deals with why there's these sort of single family homes that are left over in dense areas because our minimum lot sizes don't allow for regular apartments without the Bill 7 program to be built. In fact, if we go to the next slide, this is in the Makiki Neighborhood Board District, and I know this is an issue you guys have worked on. So this was the hoarder home on Pensacola Street. I think everyone who's been at this board for years, and thank you for getting us to the point where we could take it over as a city. It's 5,000 square feet. It's on an A2 lot. The minimum lot size allowed by the city is 10,000 square feet. So if you tried to develop a regular apartment building, because this is on Pensacola, right across the street, there's apartments. You couldn't build an apartment there. And it's 5,000 square feet on A2, so your allowable FAR is like 0.68 or something. You can build a monster home here with more units than you could a regular apartment with 3 or 4 or 5 units. It's easier to build a monster home. It's crazy. And so this gets us to where we are today. And the reason why Bill 7 exists is because all of these factors are in the way, which is why regular housing construction in neighborhoods, apartments being built in the apartment zone, aren't happening. And so if we go to the next slide, this leads us to where we are. I think we all know the context of Bill 7 and sort of all the parameters. It deals with things like the floor area ratio, the density. It deals with things like the lot size. And Bill 7 was enacted in 2019 to remove a number of these barriers. It set parameters for these projects. And now that they're being built, I think there's some community concern. And so we have a number of bills, including my bill, which is Bill 72, to refine and improve the framework. So Bill 72, again, it's apartment zones and mixed use zones. We're extending it to business zones, which deals with kind of downtown. It adjusts the setbacks, allowable heights, and maximum stories. Apartments were not being built before because the underlying zoning is very complicated and didn't allow this to happen. There were also a couple of provisions in the existing Bill 7 program that were like strange, like the maximum unit size. You couldn't build a 3-bedroom apartment that's larger than 1,400 square feet. Nobody's building that, not even Howard Hughes for these luxury units. Like this doesn't exist, but we put a maximum on it for some strange reason. And in Bill 72, specifically because we heard from community members that, well, 1617 Alapai is far away from a bus stop. Well, in Bill 72, we allow an incentive for more density if you're within a bus stop that has a frequency of more than one bus every 16 minutes, which is basically all of the like low number buses in town. There's a number of other bills though. And I wanted to give a little summary of what those are as well. There's a number of others. So in 2025, at the end of last year, my colleague Scott Nishimoto, as well as it was co-signed by, I think, Esther Kiaina, added some requirements, increased parking minimums. And by the way, throughout the urban core, there are not parking minimums. This was adopted years ago. This was eliminated. And so this would add parking minimums that don't otherwise exist and a required manager unit. That required manager unit, somebody's going to have to pay for, right? Somebody's going to pay the salary of this person. In fact, Art, I think you asked me a question about how much it would be, right? So if the salary for a apartment manager, for the sake of math, let's say it's $60,000 in a 20-unit building, that's $3,000 a year per unit. Divide that by 12. That's like $300 of extra rent for this. So that's just something to consider. In Bill 4 in 2026, this was from Councilmember Wire and Okimoto. This increases the subsidy from the city. It changes some of the eligibility requirements. Bill 11 is from Council Chair Waters and Councilmember Tupola that require reports on all the affordable housing incentives that are granted. We know what all those are. It's not in one single report, but that's fine. And then on the next slide, there's a few more. Bill 17, this was introduced by Councilmember Nishimoto, as well as Councilmember Kiaina. It basically would just repeal and eliminate the Bill 7 program starting in 2027. And that's fine. If we want to do that, and frankly, if the board wants to pass a resolution calling for it to be repealed, that's fine. That's totally fine. But that doesn't fix the underlying issues that we talked about 7 minutes ago about all of the difficulties of our existing apartment zones. And that's why we have the monster home problem, because of the density. That's why it's really easy to build high rises in Kaka'ako that aren't for any of us here, and single family homes out on the west side, but no apartments in the apartment zone in town. So we need to deal with that. And the final one is Bill 18. Bill 18 was introduced by Councilmember Tupola at the last council meeting. It's basically Bill 72, but allows for more density, but less height. And I'm not sure how that comports, but that's what the bill does. It also requires, it creates a pathway for buildings to have on-site management, not a requirement, but it says if you are going to have an on-site manager, here's the parameters. I suspect that over the next few months, there's going to be a lot of discussion, right? There's 5 bills on the table dealing with it, one of which would repeal the program totally, one of which would kind of expand it, and there's a lot of room in between. And so when we talk about community input, this is the time to do that. That's a time to do it because we have a housing crisis. These are apartments in an apartment zone. We're not building a slaughterhouse or a nuclear power plant. These are apartments in the apartment zone. And we want to create a pathway to do it because otherwise, every single time anyone wants to do anything, we're going to have to come to a board and discuss it. And that makes it really difficult to do. We talk about the permitting process. In fact, one of Claire's comments earlier was why the building sits empty. Well, it didn't have its certificate of occupancy because the building permit process takes so long. And if you don't have a certificate of occupancy after your building permit, which comes from the Department of Permitting and Planning, you can't get insurance and you can't have tenants. Like all of these things are really difficult to do. And I think we need to understand that context so we can work together to fix them. So anyway, that was a summary of the bills that are alive right now. And I think over the next few months, I'm sure the board will have a lot more discussion along with the community members about where this all goes.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation, Tyler. And I guess we'll move into responses.
Or discussion,
yeah,
I don't need to, do I need to stand up here? I'm happy to, if we're gonna have a discussion or questions.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to stand up there the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. I will recognize, yeah, Janelle.
Thank you, Councilmember DeSantos. This was really informative. I think the biggest concerns, especially with Bill 7, along with the rest of the bills, it doesn't also address the concerns with parking. Now, I know Bill HB 1919 was introduced and then died, but the issue, especially within the Makiki district, is the fact of the matter that residents are now parking on the street, and this makes it extremely hard, especially with the current zoning laws. How can the city council, especially with the dense population of affordable housing in the area, make it to where there is better transit, maybe possibly even more accessible for parking for residents? Because I don't think any of these bills, either from the state and or the county, address any of these issues. So I think that's the biggest concern right now that I've actually been hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, in 2019, the city eliminated the requirement for parking for the urban core area. And so we could add it. We could add it to Bill 7. In fact, Bills 53 and 17, I think both call for more parking. That's fine. But then if people were to develop without Bill 7 in the apartment zone, they wouldn't need parking anyway. And so I think this is a bigger conversation than just, well, what things do we want to attach to this particular program? But you're absolutely right about transit. City Council just voted to increase bus fares by 12.5% for monthly riders. Like, this is not pro-transit. And that's something that actually a couple other neighborhood boards have expressed concerns about. Like, these are all connected issues. But if we're going to look at parking, I think it should be an overall discussion rather than just what to attach to Bill 7, because if you were to build a 20-unit monster home, which you could on that Pensacola Street site if the city didn't take it over, you wouldn't need parking there anyway, not as a Bill 7, just as a regular non-Bill 7 housing development.
Thank you, Tyler and Janelle. Adam.
Okay, my question and concern, and I do share the same about parking. But my concern is, I'm not in the illusion that we are going to find magical philanthropists from around the world to just give money to build things. I understand there's got to be a profit motive. My concern is that that profit motive invites people to build these things that don't care about the communities that they're building them in. So my questions are, what are the incentives that we're giving? Who are we incentivizing to invest? How are we incentivizing them? And I mean, what are the guidelines, you know? And then you brought up, you know, having a resident manager, you know, that's cost money. Fantastic. And then you divided up that cost amongst the residents. Why does it have to come from the residents? Why not come from these people who are supposedly investing in this? And on top of that, what stops these investors from, after the 15 years or whatever you decide, from just turning over and deciding to start gouging rent and making them into luxury condos and doing their own thing after that? So, you know, my question is just, you know, I know the nature of capitalism and it tends to lean towards the top. So where are our guidelines? Where are our guide rails?
Sure. So there's two principal types of incentives, and this is not exclusive to Bill 7, but in general, there's construction side incentives, right? And so the city has a program where either after the construction or before the construction, there's a construction incentive. It comes out right now to about $12,000 per unit. If you're doing it post-construction and pre-construction, it's a lot more, because if you give money before pre-construction because of the federal Davis-Bacon Act and the state's equivalent, you have to pay a higher construction wage rate, and that's the difference. So for the pre-construction program, it's $40,000 per unit in advance. Now, you also get an ongoing property tax waiver, and that is an ongoing thing that reduces the ongoing cost of operating a building, right? This is what your rent pays for. It pays for all of this stuff. And so you're right. I mean, there's no one who's going to come and do this for free. The resident manager, somebody has to pay for this. And I think you could say, well, a developer, you have to pay for it. Well, how are they going to pay for it? It has to come from somewhere. And I think then the choice is, well, why build a project in the first place? You could invest in the NASDAQ, which is apparently at some record number and it grows for whatever.
Well,
you could do any number of other
but
things.
as you pointed out, there's not a lot of room for people to build apartments on the island. So the incentive is, in fact, the fact that we're giving them an opportunity to put something here. So without their ability to come in through Bill 7, they've got nothing, or they've got very little in the urban environment. So their incentive is actually just having an entry into that. So we don't have to like bribe them so much as we're giving them an opportunity to have some form of investment at all.
I think you're right? People that want to invest in real estate are going to invest in real estate, right? We see this in Kakako. They do this all day long. We do this on the West Side all day long. What's missing are apartments in the apartment zones here. And so, yes, the city needs to provide incentives. If we'd like to take away the incentives, we can go back to how things were before 2019, when we also had 0 apartments being built in the apartment zone. So yes, like I get where you're coming from, but that's the incentive program that's been in place, and it's resulted in apartment construction. And now, there's concerns that we are going to try to address through some of these bills.
And the other thing too is just about the character of the construction that we're having. And I'll make this quick and I'll move on. Is that you have, during the last windstorm we had on Sunday, to show the character of the people building, we had tons of clay and dirt just rolling down Pensacola Street. I'm on the 8th floor of my condo and looking over Pensacola, and I see chunks of plywood flying through the air, like 100 feet in the air across Pensacola, and a lot of other debris. I saw no construction workers out there trying to tie things down or caring at all about where those things were going.
And,
So
and
they're not
certainly they
impressing
should
me
have.
at all.
And
also
certainly
what-
they should have.
You know,
So-
especially all the residents also complaining about where they're parking, picking up their trash. Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Okay, thank you, Adam. I'll let someone else have a chance to speak. Let's see here. I'll go to Amanda first, and then I'll come back to you, Chuck. And then Eric.
Hi, thank you so much. I think a lot of the worry about Bill 7 is this is kind of the first push to increase density since the 70s. You know, a lot of people that live here, if they had been here in the 70s and stuff, I think a lot of people remember when all of these buildings that were built in 1972, mine was 1972, it's crumbling now. That was calmed down by the governor at that time because people were so worried about the mass construction. So I think this is the first push for an increase in density in these apartment zones. I think Makiki is getting hit hard with the fact that we're one of 3 of the largest apartment zones on the island between Macaulay and Mililani, and we're not seeing anything as fast, I think, in Macaulay or Mililani being put up. So I think that was just kind of the hesitation, the timing of it all. It's freaking people out. But particularly in Bill 7, a lot of them also rely heavily on the low income tax credit housing, light tech.
No.
Okay,
You can't have LIHTC and Bill 7 at the same time.
perfect. Then never mind. I will remove that. But with the on-site manager, I think that is important. But from at least in Makiki with the Ernest one over, I don't know, the cross street. A big reason why a lot of people are asking for managers at these buildings are because when those situations occur, if there is a problem in the middle of the night, HPD says that they can't do anything about it because a manager is not on site. It's not so much, I have a building manager, but he's part-time, he doesn't live there. But when there's an issue in the middle of the night, sucks, it's an on-call job, but he goes there. So if that's what's holding up, specifically Bill 53 about the on-site manager and the cost of that, maybe seeing if there's a compromise of maybe we don't need a full-time on-site manager, but just someone that HPD can call to make that decision of, hey, this guy keeps, you know, setting the fire alarm off every single night. We just need the okay to trespass the guy because HPD won't take a resident statement on that. They only want a manager. And unfortunately, the people that are building this building don't want to pay for one. So I'm starting to see where it's not so much people want a full-time on-site manager, but just somebody that can make a statement in the middle of the night when something is happening to involve HPD.
I think that's an important distinction.
And then also parking. I think we should keep in mind there needs to kind of be a bridge between car oriented to transit oriented. I think I understand why they pushed towards it, but it was very, I think, harsh to have a lot of buildings that just have no parking. We have to keep in mind that a lot of our community need handy, accessible parking. We have parents that live here and also folks that rely on services where they get delivered certain things, chore services, Meals on Wheels and stuff like that. They also kind of need some parking there. So if they want to not include parking for everyone, having some sort of fraction, because the buildings in Makiki that do have parking, the parking stalls are being sublet for $300, $400 a month, and people are paying it. Multiple out of my building, and people are walking still because they don't want to walk on Prospect because they're going to get attacked or sideswiped in the middle of the night when they're trying to walk to their apartment. So those are my comments. I appreciate you though. Thank you.
Just real quick, I wanted to add something to what you said. I don't know if you know this, but if there is a fire alarm going off in a building, there has to be an on-site manager to shut that off. The fire department's not allowed to shut off a fire alarm in a building. It has to be somebody in the building for legal reasons.
Okay. Chuck.
Okay, first of all, Tyler, I wanted to thank you for attending the second meeting. Last time I told you it's like coming to a lion's den and you faced it head on. So
No, we'll just
utmost
pet the lion and if they put
utmost respect for you and also for all your due diligence. So obviously, I think all of us here are for affordable housing. There's no question about that. But I like to come from a different angle in the sense that I wanted to come from the angle of the affected residents. I think that is the one thing that I don't hear enough of. And I think I talked to you about very briefly about this at the last meeting. So I just want to read a little bit about from my testimony that I submitted for the other Bill 18 meeting. We hear a great deal about what the city is doing to help developers build these projects. What we don't hear enough of is how the city plans to assist neighborhoods that experience increased congestion, strain, infrastructure stress, safety concerns as a result of these developments. I respectfully challenge all city officials to present concrete, measurable solutions that address these negative impacts on these projects, not just the benefit to developers or theoretical housing and affordable housing, which truly does help our community, and pay more attention and give some support and protection to its residents. One of the things that I always think that elected officials should do is, besides this, come up with creative ideas. So, Janelle and some others have been talking about parking. And I know this is not the first time that we talked about this at our meeting, but in the Pensacola, from Wilder to Lunalilo, you got the 90 unit project came up. Penn Metro is 29. The abandoned building is going to be about 25, 30. So we're talking about almost 140 units coming up on that strip alone that has no parking. Okay. So one of the things that I know I talked about a long time ago and some other members did was, why don't we turn the bike lane that's there into parking like what it was before? That would at least, look like the city's trying to be compassionate to some of the residents there. So that's just one of probably a whole lot of things that could be done if all of you guys put your heads together. And the last comment I wanted to make, well, one of the last is, affordable housing is important, but so is balance, accountability, and responsible planning. And we live in Hawaii, and we have aloha spirit, right? Some of the time when this is going down, there seems to be no aloha spirit, especially for the citizens that elect all of you guys to office. And I like to quote one of the former residents that live here, Rich Kaz, who has been, a soldier at this from the onset, starting with Ernest Street. He always said, why don't we just take a pause and just evaluate this before we keep moving forward? So with that, I yield back, Chair.
Thank you, Chuck. Did you want a chance to
Is there a
respond?
question?
Oh, I guess not. Okay. I'll take Eric, and then I see online we have Laura. So if there's any questions, I'll give the councilmember a chance to respond. Eric.
My question is where we stand on comprehensive zoning reform versus these bills like Bill 7. For me, I believe zoning reform is what's really going to drive down construction costs, streamline permitting, all these little things that will add to the overall picture. But zoning reform, and do we need to do zoning reform at the state level versus the city level? And how that can be enacted quickly so we don't have to depend on Bill 7.
Great. Well, what I didn't include is there's another bill, Bill 6, which just came back from the Planning Commission. It's actually a process that's been going on for 2 years now that would deal with a lot of these issues that I talked about at the beginning of the PowerPoint, which is in our apartment zones, because of the formula for density, you can build more in the single family home zone than you can in the apartment zone, which is why we created this Band-Aid fix of Bill 7 in the first place. So there's a bill, Bill 6, which would increase the allowable density. Right now, Bill 7 lets you go up to 4.0 FAR. And I don't know if we need to talk about what FAR is, but it's 4 times the floor area of the parcel, right? Bill 6 would allow in the A2 zone, in the A1 zone to go up to 2.0. So not even 4.0, it would be half of that in the A1 zone, and in the A2 zone up to 3.0. And if you were to look at most of the apartments around here in the A2 zone, especially the taller ones, they get close, I think, to 3 or 4. In fact, if you look at most of the Bill 7 projects, many of them don't even ask to go all the way to 4.0. So anyway, yes, we're working on that part. Permitting is another thing that we've been working on. All these changes need to happen. And I would encourage the board to look at some of these also alternative changes. They're much less sexy than talking about Bill 7 or one particular project or another particular project, but all of these things fit together, right? There's no magic wand, but all of these little things do make a difference. And so I would take a look at Bill 6, which I think responds directly to your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. And then online, I saw Laura.
Sorry, yes, thank you very much. Basically, I agree with what everybody's been saying, but I would like to do what you were saying about the holistic point of view. Namely, there was just one little throwaway word, setbacks, in whatever you were talking about. And to us, the quality of life, the visual view planes, what I guess Gary Gill talked about years ago, is that we need the setbacks to be greater than what they are now. Right now, we have buildings that are going just up barely whatever the 20 feet in or something like that. And it's all concrete. And we'll have nothing that looks like the green canopy of trees or other kinds of green around. I mean, that's the quality of life that we're thinking about also. We're not just, thinking about the high rises and how much cement and which developers are going to benefit from it. So I just want to say, if you can at all encourage the setback and I can talk about permeable spaces and surfaces and green ways and everything. And I think if you'll keep that in mind, that's the bigger picture too with it.
Absolutely. And going back to all these other little things that have to happen, the permeable surface issue has come up, right? We see a lot of the monster home things and whatever, you concrete the whole lot. And that creates runoff and other issues. That's another policy that we're going to have to deal with pretty soon. And again, I would encourage the board to keep on top of all of these things as they move forward. So yeah.
Okay, are there any? Oh, Michelle.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Luke. I'm a resident at Kahali Moy. Across from our street is the 617 project, which all of you are very familiar with. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. There are many issues with Bill 7. I think what we've heard today is a very broad brush of the affordable housing bill. The problem is the bill, when it was enacted in 2019, Kara Fukunaga was one of the proponents of that, has said that the bill was designed to streamline housing for the working class, teachers, nurses, that type of stature of the working class, and that the housing was designed to be along public transit and low-level areas where that made more sense. Bill 7 has clearly missed the mark. In 5 years, it was supposed to have expired in 2014. I'm sorry, 2024. It was extended for another several years. During that first 5-year period, I think it was 20 buildings out of 20 proposed that actually came to fruition. The type of buildings we're seeing, and I'm not saying this is true of all developers, but certainly Paul Lamb is at the lead of abusing this process. Type of buildings we're seeing are not designed for anyone really of the working class to live in. They're tiny little units, they're micro units, they're in locations where teachers and nurses and other working class people can't really function. They're not near grocery stores, there's no parking. This is a developer's dream. Bill 7 needs to have guardrails. It doesn't have guardrails. And we've been arguing about this for years. The problem is, unfortunately, the city and the council have turned a deaf ear. They have not addressed the concerns that have been raised, some of which this board has expressed today. And that is the frustration. In private meetings, we hear, yeah, we understand what your concern is. We get it, but Bill 7 is billed as a matter of right. And Tyler, you know that my group of people from my building met with you, and that was the response. What do you want me to do? This is billed as a matter of right. What we want you to do is legislate change so that Bill 7 works for those people who need affordable housing and for those people in whose communities it's going to be built. Communities are willing to accept this, embrace it under the right circumstances. And I'm sorry to do this to you, Tyler, but when we met with you, I asked you specifically, do you think the 1617 project is a good one? Should it be built up there? And you said, no, but it's a build as a matter of right project. And yet we've gotten no support to put parameters on what is now being built across from our street. And to, I think it was your point, the construction that is now occurring, there is no aloha for neighbors. The heavy equipment is being backed up onto our lawns, ruining our sprinkler systems, onto our private driveways, ruining our driveways, congesting our very limited street. And so we're going to now have a 53-unit monstrosity of a concrete block that nobody really wants to live in, can't really function in terms of their own quality of life. And it is going to cause several issues. There's no parking. It's at a 5-way intersection. It's on a dead-end street where other condos are having to access in and out on a daily basis. Bill 7, the way it is right now, does not make sense. Don't do another bill to provide incentives for developers that build in areas.
Michelle, I'm sorry if we could summarize your remarks. Thank you so much.
I will. Okay, so don't try to add bills to try to provide more incentives. Bill 7 was supposed to be in areas where public transit was so that you wouldn't need parking. But now you want to introduce another bill to give more incentives so that if it's in an area where there's, public transit, you give them a double incentive. Fix Bill 7 and make developers responsible. You're bringing foreign investment in here, and in 15 years, you have not resolved the problem. You've created a bigger one. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, I mean, we have another 10 minutes that we can spend on this discussion. Is there, okay, Janelle.
Councilmember, do you think there are solutions that this board, along with the community, can come down to the city council and propose within the time constraints of legislation that would help get some of the concerns and these issues, not just to the city council, because this is not just a city issue, this is a statewide issue, that can make it better for our residents, especially our local residents, because of the fact that there are multiple avenues of issues within Bill 7 that we've noticed that aren't helping, including affordable housing, when technically areas like Ivaley, they're still at an average rate of 2,000 plus for rent. That's unacceptable for an area that is actually below poverty level. So would there be some solution or suggestion that you would like to present that we could work on together with the communities?
I think Eric brought up the underlying zoning issue, and I really think that that's where we're at. If we had done this and addressed the underlying zoning of apartment zones island-wide 20, 30 years ago, we would not have needed Bill 7 in 2019. We also probably wouldn't have seen some of these other issues that have popped up as a result of this sort of backwards zoning that we have. So that's, I think, first and foremost. One of the other things that I've been trying to do is incentivize office to residential conversions downtown. That's also been a challenge, but it's slowly happening. And in fact, one of the HPU, where HPU's library used to be, was converted into a Bill 7 project in the middle of downtown where a bunch of bus lines and all of that is. And so I think that's a challenge with coming up with a policy that works kind of island-wide, because we actually, and to Michelle's point, in a place like, King Street or McCully or wherever where there's, ample bus service, or in Kalihi, there's one coming up on King Street next to Tamashiro Market. There's ample bus service. So how do we shape that behavior? And so I think whether it's Bill 18 or some other bill, there's probably ways to do it. What I would say is at your next meeting, if you want to just say, look, City Council, repeal Bill 17. This is how our board feels, and take a vote, and it's 9-0 or whatever, that's fine. And if it's 5-4, that's also fine. I look to the chair to lead that discussion. But you could also, what would be helpful is, here's some parameters that we would like to see, some guardrails. That's another alternative, but you need to decide what those are, right? There should be parking. We want parking. We want one parking per bedroom. That's reasonable for the sake of discussion, right? And we want it to not be further than X distance from transit, or we just don't want it in the special district at all. Like, these are all things that would be helpful to shape kind of how things go. And other neighborhoods are going to provide their input as well. I know the Kailua Neighborhood Board is particularly fired up about this issue.
Thank you, Janelle. Tom.
Thank you, Chair. Tom Heinrich, speaking in my individual capacity, back to me. Two things that come to mind. First, in a moment, Tyler, if you might answer, there's a lot on the table. There's a lot of back and forth here, whatever. But every once in a while, especially the city council gets very motivated to say, you know what, we really got to get something done in 4 months or whatever. So my first question, then my second comment is there kind of a plan of attack, if you will, with some deadlines, by midsummer or whatever, for the boards, for the public to consider in this larger discussion? The second is a question comment as well, and that is, and I'll also kind of say this in front of Patrick Smith as chair of the Neighborhood Commission, and that is there the possibility of doing 1 or 2 meetings, if you will, as kind of a housing summit or whatever, similar, if you will, to what was done in the wrap up to the overhaul of the primary urban center development plan, with the meetings that were held by the council committee at Makiki, other locations to solicit that input. So is there a deadline contemplated in that regard? And might there in fact be, say, some coordinated effort to, one, briefly educate, but secondly, also simply serve as a major magnet opportunity to receive comments and everything else, and then, of course, bring it back on the legislative side to work on it that way? Thanks.
I think that's a great idea. And if the boards would like to get together and help facilitate that, I think that will be really helpful. As for a deadline, there's not necessarily. I mean, council bills die after 2 years from the day they're introduced. We're nowhere near that. But I think, as you all know, the earlier you provide input and the more consistently you provide that input through the process, the better. If everybody comes up on the very last day and says, oh, here's, you run into the council chamber with your letter, say, oh, this is my thoughts, that's much less effective than it well in advance. And so I'm sure that this is going to be a topic for next month and the following month and after that. I will say we're entering the budget season. Budget season starts beginning of March. And so that's probably going to be a big distraction. So I suspect that these 5 or so bills will probably outlast the budget season and probably go into the summertime. That's my guess. So there's time, Chair Tar.
Yeah. Yeah, we have just a few more minutes, so probably a last question and perhaps a response by Tyler. Is there anyone interested in these last few minutes? Okay, seeing none, I will go ahead and just I don't know, just on the topic of parking, since I know we're all harping on it. But yeah, we have something to the effect of what, close on 14,000 households in our neighborhood, and of those, 80% own a car or have access to a car, even though we do have some very major bus lines moving through our area. And so that's just kind of, I'm sure you know these data points. So, but yeah, just kind of harping on how parking and how car dependent our neighborhood is.
And this is also a reflection of people living together and having roommates. And, you have a 2-bedroom apartment and 2 roommates, or maybe a couple and a roommate, and they each have a car. That's 3 cars. That's hard. And that's not something we're going to solve overnight either.
So yeah, oh, here we go. Adam.
Sorry, just really quick, because I know everybody wants to go home sometime this night. So how many bills are being proposed to amend Bill 7? Or
I think there's about 5 different bills that touch Bill 7 in some way.
Okay, you showed, I believe, 4.
There were 3. There's bills 54 from
in your PowerPoint.
Yeah. Bill 53 from last year. Bill 4 from this year. Bill 11 from this year, and then 17, and then Bill 72 from last year.
Okay, but my question is, because you didn't put them all in your PowerPoint and you didn't present them all to us, but your main point when you first started was the importance of zoning.
Yes.
So my question is, how come the bill dealing with zoning, if that's your main concern?
Because I was asked to talk about Bill 7.
Okay.
Okay.
But then Eric asked, well, what about zoning overall? And then I was like, well, we have this whole other bill. But yeah, there's also a number of other housing related bills that I didn't mention because they're not particular to the Bill 7 program. There's one that deals with Ala Moana TOD, affordable housing requirements. There's a couple others.
Okay, so I guess there's a lot on our plate. And thank you again so much, Tyler, for really showing up.
Thank you. Next month, I can't join you, but I think that actually might be a good thing for the sake of your discussions. Then you can have a discussion. And then I think April should be okay, but don't quote me on that. I'll check my calendar.
Yeah, we'll certainly check back with you because March, the budgeting, that gets really busy. So we totally
April
get it.
should be okay.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, thank you so much again, Tyler. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, for that robust discussion on Bill 7. And clearly there's more to talk about with like zoning as well and other housing issues that we might be able to bring up. Okay, moving on with board and community reports. Nice Neighborhoods Committee, Harris.
Thank you. Board members, if you can just put on your calendar, you're invited. We have our Kinau, part of the Nice Neighborhoods Committee is working, starting off in a pilot project with the Kinau community area. We have we created a sector in the community that bordered by Alapai, Kinau, Pequoy, and King Street. So if you look at that rectangle, we're creating a community hub event on April 7th, which is Tuesday, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. You probably won't receive the invitation, but you are invited. And the reason why I would ask if you are able to come because this might give you an idea of what you could do in maybe your area and creating a community hub event. It's going to be at the Honolulu Museum of Art, and we have the food that is coming in that's all donated also from our neighborhood businesses like Chick-fil-A, Domino's, McDonald's, and Safeway. And we were very fortunate to have a donation by First Hawaiian Bank to cover the costs in terms of using the Museum of Art. So might give you some ideas, but also part of the program is focus on having the neighborhood board share what we're doing. So I asked Nathan be providing updates and as well as any of you that want to attend, that would be also important. We're having HPD and HFD share statistics to those that come in, as well as some updates on the nice neighborhood. But the biggest is to start a resilience hub plan. And you guys have heard that. So in our so-called rectangle area, we're going to start developing our resilience hub plan. So again, you're all invited. And that's been a key thing coming up in the Nice Neighborhoods Committee. So we've been spending a lot of time working towards that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harris. Are there any questions for Harris?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that you know, Harris has done a tremendous job with this resilience hub. I seen it when we had only like about less than a dozen people, and now it's a lot more. And whatever assistance we can give him, you know, let's show up as if we can on that day. What was it? April 9th. April 7th. If you can mark it on your calendar and just show face and support him. And if there's any issues, like he said, that we want to bring up, we can discuss it at that meeting. But kudos to you, Harris. It was a great job.
Thank you, Chop.
Yeah, Adam.
Harris, maybe you know the answer to this more than anybody else that I could think of. I overheard them apparently working on a bill or a proposal to open the scanners for being able to hear what's going on in the neighborhood. For like in other cities, radio transmissions are open to the public for hearing police, fire department, things like that. In the island, like I have a transmitter at my house. There's a code you have to have in order to get access to that. I know some people do things to get through that. I'm not going to do that. But do you know if they're working on getting that passed so that it's open to the public, or do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. That's not, we haven't focused on that in terms of for a nice neighborhood. Yeah. Well, today, you know, I mean, I just want to share, you know, because we're talking about affordable housing, and my neighbor, David Kwong, he opened up his house for us to have our meeting there, and he just remodeled exactly 3 years ago, and I share it with the board. It took me 3 months to clear out that house. It was a drug infested house, a lot of all night stuff going on, and that's why I have personally I have sympathy with the Ernest Street neighborhood, because I experienced that for quite a while. And it was very difficult for me to have that. So anyway, with the new owner, David Kwong, he remodeled, he spent a lot of money to fix up, and now he has 4 rental units with parking. And his goal is to identify healthcare workers that work at Straub or Queens to be able to rent, park their car, walk to work. And so he opened this apartment up. He gave tours to our Nice Neighborhood Committee. And he also said that he's going to be attending the April 7th event, and as a landlord, he's going to be actively involved. So I like that, you know, and that's what we're asking for. We're asking for, when you come into our community, there's some kuleana responsibility, and being local and so forth. We know that's important, and so, you know, I take it very seriously in terms of even being part of this board. you know, I was elected and I have to serve my constituency. And if there's an issue, then we go out and help each other. And so this is all about service. So, but going back to you folks, if you guys can support me, come April 7th to the event, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Museum of Art. There's a registration, but don't worry, you guys, when we let you guys come in to participate, but really to learn what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Harris. Okay, and moving on to the Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, but I figure we'll have a more full, I'll collaborate with Adam on a fuller report for next month. And so moving on to board announcements, the next meeting of the Makiki Lower Punchbowl Tantalus Neighborhood Board number 10 is scheduled to meet on Thursday, March 19th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Makiki District Park, the old Makiki Community Library, second floor, and online via WebEx. The meetings can be viewed on Olelo Channel 49 on the first Friday at 9 p.m. and third Sunday at 3 p.m. Olelo.org/tune-in. Follow us at www.facebook.com/MakikiNB and visit www.8.honolulu.gov/NCO/NB10 for Makiki Neighborhood Board info. And we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you so much, everyone.